Hello and welcome to the Summer of Best Ball with yours truly, Justin Herzig. It is bittersweet. Season's only 2 days away, but with that, that means this is the final live stream of the season. And appropriately, my final BBM3 draft before I'm maxed out. Number 150. We're going to make it a good one. Coming up next, we've got a full season of DFS. We've got a ton of content already started at ETR. We got Cody putting out the Thursday Night Showdown content. Lots of stuff over at ETR, still worth signing up for that full season. But let's close it out strong. With us this afternoon, the king of high-stakes best ball, taking down, I think, 2 high-stakes tourneys. One of the guys I most look up to in this industry, and now a member of the ETR fam. Mr. Peter Jennings, how are you doing?
What an intro. Justin, great to be with you here. We've certainly battled a lot in the best ball streets. I think we were maybe the first 2 pros in best ball, I would say, probably. Back in the draft days, and yeah, it's fun. That this has been a big grind. Not my biggest grind ever on best ball, but top 2 or 3 this season. I've really dug in, already maxed out basically every tournament on Underdog, and I'm actually in a 5-5-5 on DraftKings right now. So we're trying to get a lot done. But yeah, I have those 2 truths and a lie, and I'm really excited to get your last entry in here. I think it's a great time to draft.
Oh, yeah. Been trying to, it's tough because we're all feeling that burnout. We all are, have a nice long weekend. We're 2 days away from the season, but no question this past weekend right now, still soft drafts, still worth capitalizing, still dig the feet in and kind of go for it. Can't let up now. And yeah, it's funny. Back to the days of draft. So Peter and I probably were doing 6 digits of 3-mans. And just nonstop 3-mans. And we probably went against each other in so many of them. It was fun. And I think the very first big best ball tournament with draft was the 2 of us in a 12-man field. And we did a little nice equity split, which worked out well for me because Todd Gurley got ruled out for that final week. And I think that's what you took down, right?
Yeah, I got first in the high stakes, second in the main big one, and I've had a lot of success in best ball, not as much as you, but it's been a lot of fun, and I'm excited this year. And I actually grinded the 3-mans this year as well. I did not see you, which I'm thankful for. I don't think the edges are quite as big, but yeah, just tried to blast as much as I could. It's actually drafting and doing Underdog is a great activity alongside watching the baby. You get to hang out, have fun in between picks, but then it's something that you can kind of get done. I certainly got auto drafted a couple times, but it was a good mix of things. So yeah, great summer of drafting.
Better than hiking with the friends, apparently.
Hiking is also fun, but yeah, I did not hike with the Colorado crew here for ETR, but next year.
All right. Well, let's start us off. I'm going to get us in a draft. As I'm doing this, let's play chat's favorite game. Peter, give them the 2 truths, 1 lie.
Okay. Aaron Jones will outscore Najee Harris on Underdog this year. Amari Cooper will be a top 10 receiver on Underdog. Amon St. Brown will be a top 10 wide receiver on Underdog and top 5 on DraftKings this year.
Okay. So once more, we've got Aaron Jones outscoring Najee. Not the craziest one. Oh, look at that Influencer 101. We'll be happy with that. Let's
nice.
What were the other 2 as well?
The last 2 were Amari Cooper, top 10 receiver this year, and then Amon St. Brown, top 10 receiver on Underdog, top 5 receiver on DraftKings. And Amari, top 10 on Underdog was the clarification.
Very on brand with the second one. My guess is the second one's the lie. I think you're still bullish on Amari, but across the entire season with Jacoby, I think that's a little tough. Still love him in best ball because of that playoff style. But the Amon-Ra one is a big, bold call as well. Let's see. Chad is going with people do not believe the Amari. They think you're just leaning into the bit.
Yeah, they're too sharp. That's definitely my that's definitely the one that I'm yeah. I don't think Amari's going to be a top 10 receiver this year. I think he could be really good in the playoffs, but I think like you mentioned, it's going to be tough. And I win with the bit. And the other ones were so obvious. And I maybe should have had a little bit more bold of a take. Aaron Jones has started to come down a little bit, but he used to go in the 20s, and Najee was a top 10 pick. And now we've kind of had that converge. I have very, very little Najee Harris this year, and then Amon St. Brown was kind of the same thing. I mean, I was getting him nonstop in the 50s and 60s, even a little bit higher, sometimes in the 70s. And there's one stretch where I think his ADP might have like really, really fallen for a stretch there, kind of in the late spring, early summer. But now he's a consensus big pick, and the ETR crew being high on Amon St. Brown has not been helpful to my drafts.
Yeah, if we look at the running backs here, so I'm saying with you, pretty low on Najee, getting him a little later than he was going. Because, early in the offseason, he was going 8, 9 even, and definitely didn't want him there. Aaron Jones was pretty high on early on, so I'm full agreement with you on this one.
Who does this HUD, by the way? I've seen this on Overzet's stuff. Who built this HUD?
This one's Brian Hooper, so Brick 75.
Oh, cool.
BRIC 75. Yeah. I like it. I mean, he kind of did it as a personal pet project and such. And then we've been chatting. So like throughout the summer, I've been putting my exposures on there so people can see like, how does Justin's exposures line up? How does Justin, Pete, Pat, Corain, Davis doing like a combination average and stuff? But it's an interesting topic with regards to HUDs because it's the first step towards eventual potential automation, and how I'm fully concerned. I don't know, like at least I appreciate the severity of what could happen if bots and automation does get into best ball, like we saw with the DFS side, and how it could hurt the game. So I'm a little sensitive to that too.
Yeah, it's interesting. I do think that we saw best ball explode this year, and I think we'll continue to see it grow. And I think people are going to want to be pretty advanced with it in certain ways. I am a little concerned, but Underdog also built like the fast drafts where you can just draft off your ranks. So I don't know. It's a tricky thing, but I think it's inevitable that things will get more efficient and people are going to want to do a lot. But yeah, it's also super fun. Like it's something that a casual person can pick up and just do and feel like they have a chance. So we'll see how that progresses. But I do think that there'll be more tools and different things next year for best ball.
When you were doing 3-mans, were you ever going automated? Did you ever go against others that were automating it? I think that's probably one of my most concerns with regards to automation is if you had a bot that like correlation's not as important, the being in that draft isn't as important, and you could just go from a volume aspect, would probably create a poor,
I have my rank set up. So if you've drafted with me, I have my rank set up for the 3-mans in case I get auto drafted, which happens some. But I wasn't just like entering, and then I only did high stakes. I just did the $100s and $500 3-mans. I did a couple 25s, but I'd say the majority, maybe 80% plus for the $100.
What was the 3-man strat this year? Was it still Kelsey, or was it?
There was a lot of just tier stuff. I got Kelsey a ton, and like I had Kelsey as like my 6th best player, but then I had Andrews kind of right there, and really like Pitts too. So yeah, those 3 tight ends were super important, and then just understanding tiers, which I think there are like very clear tiers. So after CMC and Taylor, I didn't get that much Eckler. I think he was kind of in his own tier. That's where I was getting Kelsey and all the receivers. But yeah, there's you had your clear top 5. Maybe Eckler, I guess, was the one where it was a tougher decision. And then the tight ends, and then you had that group of receivers like Devontae Adams, CeeDee Lamb, Steph Diggs, and then quarterbacks. I think there's a huge edge on quarterbacks this year too. I really prioritize getting Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. I was okay with either Herbert or Mahomes, but I really wanted a combination of those guys. And then if I got AJ Brown, I was confident going with Hurts as well, but basically just trying to get those guys. And where I think I had a big edge in the 3-mans was roster construction. Curious who you pick here.
All right. So how much are you on week 17 going?
I would go Evans here all day long.
And then do you then load it up and say, hey, we're going big on Tampa. We can grab Brady a little earlier.
I would not, because I'm very bearish on Brady this year. I got the personal stuff that's starting to come out. I haven't broken on public anything, but I think we're going to see a bomb with Giselle and Brady. I would go T. Higgins or DJ Moore here personally.
Not Kyle Pitts.
I don't mind Kyle Pitts here. It's a little. I have a lot. I'm overexposed to Kyle Pitts. I've been drafting him a ton. I don't mind Pitts. Do you want to go Pitts?
We'll do it here. I think you're reaching on just about everything if you're not grabbing Lenny. And I don't.
Lenny, the other problem is that combination's so common for Fournette, Evans, CMC. Seen that a lot. I've done it myself, but
yeah. So sorry. Did you say who would you have picked? I thought you said Evans, so I grabbed Evans. But
I definitely would have grabbed Evans, even though I'm worried about Brady. I still think Evans is a great pick.
Makes sense. And yeah, and you still get that week 17 correlation with the Mike Evans with Christian McCaffrey. It is interesting with regards to drafting Brady, where you can get Godwin pretty easily at this 48-49. And if you do that, you then end up with having to reach on Brady at 72-73 or hoping he falls to you at 96-97, which his ADP is 87, so it's a bit of a stretch. How do you normally play those with regards to, or how have you been doing? Like,
if I went and grabbed Fournette, Evans, and then Godwin, I'd reach on Brady.
Yeah,
just because it's like, yeah, you're giving up a little bit of EV on the pick itself in a vacuum, but from a broad perspective, you have such a strong team that I think it makes sense.
Yeah, like I think in this situation, even if you are bearish on the GOAT, as Bob is saying here, you still have to play for, being right in that scenario. And if we are going Mike Evans, if we do want to grab Chris Godwin at the turn, if he falls to us, we still are probably drafting Brady.
Yeah, exactly. I like my preference on this, and that's something I've done a ton. I have a ton of Baker stacks. I don't know how much you have. I've actually grabbed DJ Moore in that spot to be unique a couple times. The McCaffrey, Moore, Evans thing. I'm really high on DJ Moore. But it's a little early. How high are you on DJ Moore?
Yeah. So I'm 17%. Honestly, I'm surprised. Like, I thought most of my grabbing of him was actually before the Baker news and the trade, and so he and Robbie, I was going pretty hard early on.
Oh, I have so much Robbie. That's an ETR special, Leone special.
Yeah, I mean, I've slowed down a lot after the reports that maybe he could be traded when they brought in Rashard Higgins. We know that Baker and Higgins have that rapport from the past. And like Terrace Marshall can still kind of make that step up. So there are paths to Robbie failing despite the ridiculous volume he had last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What are we thinking here at this next turn? What do you normally like?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm all over Godwin. I still think like if Godwin's following, the reports are still positive as well. It's a bit of a reach, especially when he was going like late 50s early on, but just to get that Mike Evans stack the whole week 17. I mean, I think the Carolina Tampa is probably the stack I have so much of.
Me too.
Yeah. It's a great game environment. The way that Tampa's been able to go, like a pass catching back makes sense. You can still get like a Robbie Anderson value to complement it.
We can do Brady, even though he has all these personal problems, and then get Rachaad White, who I have so much Rachaad White.
And so depth chart just came out today, how little those matter, but he's number 2 there. There was also a report, I think yesterday, the day before, with regards to that they want to lighten Leonard Fournette's workload a little. So all positives there.
Rachaad White just looks like the better player to me too, but I know it's preseason and early, and there's all this other stuff.
All right, so we are on the board. We do have 2 picks here. Godwin is available if we want to go for this stack.
I'd go Godwin and McLaurin, but I'd also said St. Brown. I mean, I have McLaurin and St. Brown like right next to each other.
Okay. And then in that scenario, would you probably go for the ADP just to...
I have so much St. Brown, then that's why I suggested McLaurin. But I'm open to whatever you want to do.
Hopefully. That's why you use your Q. I really don't like the auto draft with the Q in there, but we ended up taking Terry.
It's all good.
Yeah. Apparently, so I was talking to Rudman about it. Apparently, it is a very technical challenge to solve to autopilot, but not if you're in the queue.
Yeah.
Next year.
I like McLaurin a lot, though, this year. I think Wentz is a little bit of a downgrade, but McLaurin gets open so well. Such a talented player. I think at this ADP, I mean, there's paths to him being quite good. So, I mean, he's another guy that just like St. Brown, it would not surprise me at all if he was like a top 5 wide receiver this year.
Yeah, I mean, he would definitely need Wentz to step up. And I think the nice thing there is you can get Wentz for virtually free. So if you do think McLaurin's going to get there,
That's why I liked like all the Carolina, like broadly, I would try to get like one stack and then I'd kind of let certain things fall to me. And I'd have a lot of the Detroit pieces, Washington, Carolina, even Atlanta. Like I don't mind. I think Mariota has some real upside this year. Obviously, he could lose the job, and I expect Atlanta to be a bad team, but there's some real upside. So I liked going like kind of one stud to middle tier player, and then depending on how the rest of the roster shakes out, grabbing quarterbacks late.
Yeah. And so thinking through, we have Terry, we have Pitts. We're likely going to grab Brady here with the 72-73. Are you comfortable with a Brady Wentz, Brady Mariota, Brady Baker?
Yeah, see, I'm Mike Brady, and then I think we can kind of let all those things fall to us. I'm worried about Brady this year, though. I am that's one guy I'd never like. One of the edges I thought I had in the 3-mans is people are drafting Brady. Yeah, the reports I've heard some stuff. The rumors are true. I would expect Brady to split with Giselle. So yeah.
I mean, Chad is reading into this, and they're saying, "Hey, Brady's even more pissed. If they get a divorce, he's just going to play for another 5 years."
That's what the issue is, that she doesn't want him to play, and he wants to play.
I mean, I think logically it makes complete sense where she has had, her own career, but she's mostly kind of taken a back seat to Brady. And then Brady finally decides, hey, I'm going to hang it up. It's now your turn. And when he then comes back, you can understand why there'd be some frustration. We saw it play out in reality TV to a slightly lesser degree with Jay Cutler and Krista Cavalieri. And Jay Cutler stops playing, goes back home, and yeah, unfortunately, that didn't work out too well. And reality TV, thanks to my wife, I saw a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you saw one of the more recent press conferences. The concern to me is he's lost a lot of weight.
Stress.
I mean, taking time off, dealing with a big life issue. I mean, if anyone can overcome it, it's Brady. But also, if you just look at the range of outcomes, would it be that surprising if, let's say, he does get divorced, that comes out, he's 45 years old, and this is the year he starts to have decline? Like, would that be that surprising either? So I just think the range of outcomes, there's more downside than there has been in years past.
I did not expect this to turn into a paparazzi reality show on Brady and Giselle's marriage, but that's what we need to dive into to get the real edge in best ball.
I mean, I don't have much Brady. So I've been hearing about this for a while, and the most recent reports don't look great. So we'll see what transpires. And I certainly could be wrong. I mean, people can get things changed, but the thing that I thought was pretty definitive was that, did you see, the press conference I'm talking about?
Yes. Yep.
He looked bad, like objectively bad from my vantage point. Normally he looks, yeah, I mean, he's obviously one of the best looking, most successful, best football player of all time. All the ads just like on top of the world, and he looked stressed and skinny. So that gave me just a little bit of pause. But the good news for Brady, to make the counter argument, is Godwin, the reports are amazing, shedding the knee brace. Sounds like he has a real shot to play week 1. You pick up Julio, who I think will be really helpful in the red zone, kind of like a Gronk type player. He's going to have a ton of easy single coverage.
Yeah. All right.
I like Kirk. I like Devontae Smith, and I like Mitchell a lot. Okay. You could also grab Gibson for the Wentz stack. It's a little early for him, but
yeah. So we do have Brady here.
Oh, and we could grab Brady.
After all this talk, though, I'm not sure if anyone in this draft wants to draft Brady.
You can let him slide. You can still be fine, because then you can just grab Baker.
All right. Well, I'm starting with Christian Kirk. I don't want to. Don't autopilot. Okay, good. I love Kirk too, and there we go.
Got it. Who did grab? Devontae Smith. I like that.
Yeah, at least put in the queue. I was gonna say, talk to me on Elijah Mitchell, though. Not someone I have been grabbing that much of. Obviously, the history of San Francisco running backs repeating the next year is not positive. What's kind of your inclination there?
I think San Francisco could be really good offensively. I think there's some concern around Trey Lance, but I'm a huge Kyle Shanahan believer. Mitchell's talented. I think they're going to use a lot of backs. But I do think his spike weeks will be good because of touchdowns. I just expect San Francisco to be a really good team this year.
What do you think it looks like behind him? Obviously, Jeff Wilson right there is starting now. TDP was the 4th round hype train. The Trey Sermon stuff was so interesting all offseason. Then he gets cut.
Yeah, I mean, I expect it to be. I think Wilson, they trust more in passing downs. I think Elijah Mitchell, when healthy, is going to get 65% of the touches ish. 60, 55, 60.
Which is a lot for people who don't like, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's clearly their best back. So, yeah, I mean, I think he's going to get. Cal's messaging me. Sorry, I'm getting a bunch of stuff. Lost my train of thought there. Elijah Mitchell, I expect 55 to 65% of the touches. I think Wilson will get the majority of the touches early on as a secondary player, maybe like 25%, 25%, because they trust him more. But then Price over time, I think he's really talented from everything I've watched on YouTube. Preseason's obviously a small sample, but looked explosive. And obviously they invested a decent amount of draft capital. 4th round for a running back is pretty strong. So I expect him to gain more market share over time. And I think we're just likely to see injuries. That's the big thing to me, is just like running backs get hurt a lot. And I just want guys in good offenses. And, over time, I think, you just take shots and all of them. So I have exposure. The way I've handled the San Francisco situation is I have exposure to all these running backs. I didn't have much Sermon. Now I'm actually drafting a little bit more because I think it's a good spot for him. Eagles, I mean, that offensive line is elite. I think Brandon Thorne has him as the number 1 offensive line. I'm a big believer in the Eagles too.
Yeah, Silva was very high on Sanders earlier in the year, just from the team structure, efficiency, that offensive line. Then reports didn't look too great. Is Kenneth Gainwell going to get high leverage touches? Boston Scott's still going to have a role. Maybe Sermon comes in and plays even like a Jordan Howard type role. Someone's going to win there. It is hard to predict right now.
Yeah, it is hard to predict. I like the start of our team, though. I really like the start of our team. I mean, we have stacked receivers, and we have Kyle Pitts. Obviously, we're weak at running back right now, but we have the GOAT, McCaffrey, who I think you're probably obviously took him first. Like, one way I lose all the money this year is McCaffrey gets hurt, and Jonathan Taylor is like exponentially better than the next best running back. That's one scenario that's not good for me.
What's your split, you think, between those two?
I can tell you in a second. Let me just.
While you're doing that, so I'm at 15% McCaffrey and 9% Jonathan Taylor. Because for most of that June, I was on the Jonathan Taylor. It's just a way to diversify. But yeah, I'm 100% team CMC.
So, including 3-mans, I have 37% Christian McCaffrey. I'll filter it down, and like 40% of the money I've invested in Christian McCaffrey, and I have.
So yeah, a lot of it's in the 3-mans where you're getting him and
Jonathan Taylor. I'm 4%.
So let me pause real quick. We got sniped on Brady by the guy who went Kyler, Trey, and then Brady.
Oh,
one of those. Gross. All right, back to us. We are not going to let the clock fall. No QBs really jump out.
I don't want to QB there.
How do you feel about Kareem, Damian?
I don't mind these guys at the spot that they're in. Who else is available? Lockett. I have a good bit of Lockett.
I'm going to grab Kareem. It gives us the Terry McLaurin week 17 and avoids the auto draft.
Yep.
If we're thinking about other kinds of later stacks,
we got Wentz, and we also got Mariota, and we have Lawrence, who Lawrence won't be. I mean, maybe we get him in like the 12, 13. I think running back here is fine.
I think so. We are strong at wide receiver, and we're still going to keep adding on a bit because we're probably going to go. Let's go, Damian Harris. Only
the other person that I really think makes sense for us to grab is Baker.
Okay. I think that makes sense.
We have that nice stack as well. So basically, we have all the late round QBs. We can reach potentially on some of them, and then the nice thing about Lawrence is you can really build a nice stack around Jacksonville late too.
Yeah, Marvin Jones,
we have a lot of
Evan Ingram.
Let's see here.
Yeah, if you look at our team, go for it. Yeah,
I'm finishing this other draft, so that's good news. Cal was messaging me. Apparently, I sniped him on a bunch of picks. So sorry, Cal.
Tell him you were multi-drafting.
I was multi-drafting. My team does not make that much sense, but that's okay.
And the 5-5-5 in those higher stakes, I don't think it needs to make as much sense.
I got Rodgers, Watkins, Watson. I got those guys late, and I got this stack I have like 0 of, so I guess it's good. I got Jameis, Kamara, and Michael Thomas. But I also drafted Samuel, Kittle, and Ayuk, hoping to get Lance. So whatever. Got some good stacks, and I finally it took me forever to get my rankings in a decent place on DraftKings. The experience is just so much worse. It's not ideal. Underdog has just been incredible.
We're spoiled. We're spoiled by Underdog. Plain and simple.
Yeah, Underdog's amazing.
I think the Packers one is interesting, especially with this Lazard news that maybe they've been hiding a bit of an injury on that front, which
I have 0 Lazard. I almost chimed in on that thread you guys had, but I'm pretty stoked on that.
Oh, it's fun. I have 1. It's 1 team, and I got him at 113 ADP in a Packers stack. So not upset about that one.
No, and he could still come back and be the wide receiver 1 for them, and it's not like he's dead.
Right. This injury is probably not going to be like long term, but the biggest thing is that injury opens the door for Romeo, for Watson, for maybe even Sammy, potentially Cobb, like just have larger roles to start the season. And I think we know how much Rodgers is a rapport kind of guy, finding that connection with the wide receiver. So if one of these young guys or veterans and Watkins and Cobb really are able to come in and find a role, it hurts Lazard a bit.
Yeah, my view on the Packers, and I've taken a pretty strong stance on this, and it was in my truth line. I think they're still going to be fine on offense. They'll be a good team. I think the running backs are going to have great years. I love both Jones and Dillon. I've drafted a ton of them. And then the other guy I like that I think is undervalued is Tanya. And I know the health is a little bit of a concern, but assuming he can get back to 90% and be reasonable, that's someone I think has kind of been a really nice pick this year. There's a lot of touchdown upside with Aaron Rodgers, and there's just the target competition is weak across the board. So I like him at his ADP, and there's not that much competition at tight end. So that's kind of my game plan on getting Packers exposure has been Rodgers when he falls. He's not been a quarterback I've been targeting, so I'm underweight. But then I like the running backs a lot. I'm overweight there, and I think Tanya is probably my favorite of the targets. I mean, Dobbs was interesting for a stretch, and then his ADP just skyrocketed, so it was hard to get him.
All right, we're back here. QBs is a bit of a reach if we wanted to maybe grab.
I think we wait. We got a bunch of guys we can grab. There's a guy I love here, and that's Hines.
Okay.
And I love Dotson. Perfect.
Okay.
I love Naheem Hines this year.
Perfect. I do too. I think he fits the right profile as well for this type of team where he still has that upside.
And we can grab Matt Ryan late and then grab Pierce or Paris Campbell too. Yeah. And if we really wanted to punt our last tight end, we could grab Cox as well.
So if we grab Dotson here, we're basically saying we're going to grab Wentz. We've got the Cleveland bring backs. That's not bad. It's probably a bit too much capital to take a running back here, given we started with CMC.
And I think Dotson has super high upside. That's one of the reasons I like McLaurin. And this is always an interesting debate, right? Like, obviously you take away target share when you have talented players, but at the same time, that also gives them more single coverage and opportunities. So like Miami, for example, I think Waddle and Tyreek complement each other super well. Like Waddle is so good after the catch. He's really good in those short passes. He can also go downfield. And of course, Tyreek, you have to worry about both things. I mean, I think we'll see both those players get a lot of short passes with run after the catch opportunities. And I think they're going to have really good offensive schemes to basically open up opportunities for either player by using the other one as a distraction. I worry like CD Lamb is someone I love this year. My only concern is like, if I'm playing Dallas, like I'm just going to double CD, right? And try to make everyone else beat him. So it's always hard, like trying to figure out, like that balance of target share plus like how efficient the offense is.
Yeah, I think Dallas is going to be one of the more interesting teams this year. At least I'm hoping they are. They obviously could just go with a Zeke and run Zeke 25 times a game and just be extremely boring. But also they have the potential for Gallup to basically be this number 2 that he's only done in a couple games, but still, and it was just when either Cooper or Lamb were hurt last year.
He looked so good coming back last year too. I was so frustrated with the ACL.
Exactly. And so if they can actually bring him in and leverage him as a true number 2 with a full route tree, I think that's going to be exciting. 2, if these reports on Tony Pollard are actually true that he may play as a slot wide receiver, that's awesome. We always wanted to get this guy in space. Yeah. And we just haven't seen that. So, like, Noah Brown, if he is their clear number 2 for, like, the season, or at least, you know, first few weeks, I think that's a bad sign.
I have him as, like, my last pick on DraftKings a couple times with Dak.
Yeah, there's some sharp people. I think to start the season, he's going to be the number 2. I'm on the train that Michael Gallup's going to come back a little sooner than we all thought. Like, I'm thinking week 3 or so is what I've been drafting as, which makes him a value in my mind. But like the Tyron Smith stuff, really, that really stunk.
That was the thing that really made me, because Pollard is one of my biggest positions. I was super stoked on Pollard, and it was just like, okay, you have this amazing player in Lamb. You know, you wait for Gallup to come back. I think Schultz is, you know, I think he's a good play, but he's just expensive. So it's tough to, like, I have him kind of like really similar to Gallup, or to not Gallup, to Hawkinson and Goddard. I think he's kind of like really close to those guys, and there's a 20, you know, spot gap on ADP. Oh, Tanyan goes super early.
So people talking about Tolbert. The reports that I'm hearing are that Tolbert is just very far behind in his development. That's why Noah Brown's going to start off the year as the number 2. And Tolbert's really opportunity was when Gallup was out. So if Tolbert can't beat out Noah Brown to start the season, which doesn't sound like it, Gallup comes back healthy. I think the Tolbert hype is false opportunity.
Yeah, I'm especially with his ADP where it is that now. I mean, it's a lot to ask for these rookies to get on the field that they didn't invest a ton of draft capital into. I mean, he has some draft capital. Was he a 3rd round pick or something like that? 3rd, 4th round pick?
I think, yeah, right. I think it was 3rd.
Yeah, and receivers, like, obviously with a running back, that's a lot different because the NFL's learned, hey, we can get good running backs later. So there's a big difference between the 3rd and 4th round pick because the top receivers are going, and the ones that we've seen broadly have a lot of success are these 1st round studs. So I'm a lot more and I am optimistic about like Drake London, for example. I was drafting quite a bit of Bird.
Doing
what happened? The person took Lawrence,
his 4th QB.
Oh, the tilt. Oh, that's super frustrating. I thought Lawrence was going to get back to us.
Yeah. We lose Brady to the guy who goes Kyler and Trance. We lose Lawrence, the guy who already has 3
I think Matt Ryan is someone we need to consider here. Who else is available? Matt Ryan we're doing because of Naheem Hines.
Yep.
I hate Matt Ryan as like our number 1, though.
It's tough, but the other thing is now we have to be concerned that like our QB is going to go off the board more early. Because
I like Daniel Jones a lot too.
We have no one there.
I would grab Robbie here for sure.
Okay, so grab Matt Ryan.
Grab Robbie, or if you wanted to, I love Irv Smith in a vacuum.
Yep, I agree with that one. I would go Irv or Alberto. Robbie's still 163. We could probably get him on the next one. And this short.
Oh yeah, I forgot this is really early for Robbie.
Yep. Irv over Albert in your mind?
For me, for sure. I've been on Irv all year. I actually was talking to Brandon Stokely about Alberto, and former Broncos receiver, does a lot of local radio here, covers the Broncos year round, and he is pessimistic about Alberto. Playing into the 4th quarter of the preseason was a horrible sign. Obviously caught a break with Dulcich being on the IR, but I've heard he's a great athlete. When he gets going, once he's at full speed, he's really dynamic, but I think he's struggling with the offense. So, and there's a ton of target competition. I mean, I expect Judy and Sutton to get a huge percentage of the share, and I think the Broncos are going to play good defense, and I think they should be really efficient running the football too.
I mean, Alberto has gotten the best run out possible. Tim Patrick going down, more opportunities for tight ends. Dulcich starting the season in IR after going to the 4th season, and agree with you, like it sounds like he needed more reps is what the quote was. Yep. And when you are playing your tight end, when you're playing your starter into the 4th quarter, that's not a good sign. Yes, he's an amazing athlete, but we've also seen these great athletes at tight end not actually get the playing time because they're not getting the blocking. You can use the extreme of the OJ Howard. You can use even like the Jonnu Smith, like what Bill Belichick, when Jonnu Smith was on the Titans, Bill Belichick called him the best in-space receiver. And goes in the Titans and basically does nothing for whatever reason. Yeah, it's been an interesting situation for Alberto, but I love Irv Smith too. And Irv, by all accounts, is going to be playing week 1. The only reason his ADP has been dropping is because of that injury.
Love Irv Smith. That's probably my highest owned tight end in 12-man drafts. It's a big scheme change for Minnesota. And I think, you talk about a really good offense, like Irv Smith's going to have very little attention on him. They run the football extremely well. You have one of the most dynamic, if not the most dynamic receiver in football in Jefferson. And, Thielen is someone who is just super elite in the red zone and like great at getting open. So just, they're going to be a tough team to cover. And I think Kirk Cousins, like, he's not a great quarterback, but he's certainly average to above average. And I think good scheme and good opportunities, he's in a great place. How are we looking here on our quarterbacks?
Coming back. So we know we're going. So we have Ryan. We know we're going Wentz. So it's who's going to be that third one. And if we're thinking it's Baker.
Isn't he gone? Someone took him?
Did he really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
I really wanted Baker.
When did he go? Holy crap.
It's because that one guy, I mean, if someone starts taking 4 quarterbacks, it just screws up the whole draft.
Okay. Well, we are on the board. We can at least star Marvin, Rob, if you want. Mac Jones, Jared Goff. We probably still need to grab one of those. We got Damian Harris. We can make a bet on the New England just offense.
What about Pierce or
do we want Robbie?
I guess.
Okay.
My vote would be to wait and just grab 2 quarterbacks no matter what at the next 2 picks and hope that these guys are around still.
Okay, who do you want then?
You know what we could do is go McKissick here.
Okay. I don't hate that. No, I like that.
Full-blown
Washington.
Commander stack. Just what you wanted to do on your last draft.
I mean,
it's so brutal. Who's the guy? It's Nick and what's that guy's name? Nick look at his team.
Nick Dinatal. Oh, God. I mean, but starting off with going Brady after going Kyler and Trey when you have no Bucks or Lions.
Multiple of these guys have 3-4 quarterbacks, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. I don't think anyone else has 4, but
I mean, the way that this is broken, because you know how it goes. A lot of times you'll see quarterbacks, like all these quarterbacks fall forever.
Available at the end of the draft.
Yeah, and the guy took Pierce right in front of us too. I like our team, though. Like, the nice thing is we had a lot of good players fall to us. And the thing is, even though we don't have the quarterback to go with it, we still have like a unique kind of Tampa Carolina stack without the quarterbacks. So maybe it's just one-offs that do really well and like they have like good average games. And then we just really need Carson Wentz to have 4 touchdowns in week 17. I mean, with Kareem Hunt just going bonkers. That's. I mean, we still have outs to win.
We do, and it's like if this was DraftKings, I'd be like, hey, maybe we even should take 4 QBs. Like it's that ugly.
It's ugly.
You can't afford to use 4 QBs on this kind of structure.
No chance. Our receivers are really good, and we have one. The nice thing too is we have one-off pieces. McLaurin, Kirk, Devontae Smith. That combination of guys I really, really like.
Yeah.
So just 3 guys I have a lot of.
Yeah. We're good on running backs. Don't need any more here. McKissick was a great last piece to really provide that weekly value with other upside.
I really hope. How many receivers do we have? 7 right now?
We have 7. So we have 2 tight ends. We're done on tight ends too.
Yeah, I like a 3-5-8-2 here.
I think that's what we have to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did Paris Campbell just go?
No, he's right here, highlighted because the stack aspect. Yeah.
Yeah, let's queue him up. Do you think people are just like sniping you to snipe you on this? Or not really?
To be honest, it's usually not that bad. And I will say the names in here are not as much. Most of the people in chat have already maxed out their 150.
Yeah. Yeah, this is just like when the most frustrating thing in the world is with when you just get sniped every which way. I mean, we had Brady sniped. The Lawrence one I thought was going to be easy. Lawrence normally falls right there. And I was excited because Lawrence is one of my favorite. That's why I like grabbing Kirk. It's just great because you can build like a really nice stack with Lawrence. You either grab Marvin Jones, Zay Jones, Ingram, and you have a great stack. And I think Lawrence has a real potential like to be a top 5-10 quarterback. Obviously, he could be really bad again, but like he has one of the wider range of outcomes. The opposite of Matt Ryan, where it's like, Matt Ryan seems like he's going to be like the 20th best fantasy quarterback to like the 15th best fantasy quarterback. Like very small range of outcomes for him. I mean, I guess his way where he's like a little better than that is Pittman is just like a total stud.
Peter, Carson Wentz and Mac Jones have gone.
How is this happening? All right, we're grabbing Mariota, and what are we doing now?
Zach Wilson, Davis Mills, Mariota.
How does Carson Wentz go? Should we have grabbed Carson Wentz at like 170, I guess? I mean,
Mariota, we have to take 2 QBs here. I mean, Paris Campbell went too. Mariota and Zach Wilson?
For sure. Hey, let's just look real quick. Are any and then all the Colts guys are gone for us?
Yeah, because Campbell
grab Corey Davis. Right, grab Corey Davis and then just hope that Zach Wilson falls. This would be my bet.
Is Corey Davis that much better for our team than a different late? It is a big jump.
I just like Corey Davis as a player.
And we're hoping we get Zach Wilson so we get the jet.
If we don't get Zach Wilson, what do we do?
Flacco? Davis Mills. Kenny Pickett.
We have no stacks with any of these guys.
Hey, we got Corey Davis.
This is just no Zach Wilson. If Zach Wilson falls, it's not the end of the world.
Right.
I mean, this has been one of the weirdest drafts. Look at all these guys: 4 quarterbacks, 3 quarterbacks, and then you have Shaq Jr.
So
Mariota to Pitts has a real chance, I think.
The guy who went Brady is the one who then grabbed a 4th QB as well.
Aren't there 2 people in this draft that have 4 QBs?
Yes, Kyler, Trey, Brady, Goff. And not like 4 crappy QBs.
2 people took 4 quarterbacks. This guy's got 7 running backs and 4 receivers. At least your advance rate here is like, hey, maybe you get $40 back here. You know, it's not your favorite team to win $2 million, but it's probably not the worst team to advance.
So if you compare, we did the $2,500. You were in the chat. The $2,500 draft that the ETR guys did.
All the quarterbacks fell.
One team, only Leone, Silva, Levitan. That team drafted 3 QBs. All other teams went 2 QBs in a structure when you actually wanted to play it kind of safe because a third of the people advanced, and like that's how sharp that draft is. This is insane.
People drafted some horrible teams in this.
I haven't tilted. Like I've done 150 underdog drafts, and this is the one that I'm tilting the most. This is just insane.
The thing was, we had all these beautiful stacks built, and we just got sniped and sniped and sniped and sniped.
Sniped by guys who already have 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah. I mean, Zach Wilson won, of course. Yeah, the guy who had 1 quarterback.
Daniel Jones, Zach Will. Okay. I mean, yeah, you
that
had to
at least makes sense.
But like,
and we ran so good. Getting the 1 spot is like far and away my favorite spot to pick. Well, 1 through 4 is just super elite.
Agreed.
The team is not bad. It's horrible from a correlation standpoint, I guess, like a QB standpoint, I should say.
I mean,
so what are we going to do? What quarterback do we go with? I mean, this is ugly, bro. We have 2 week 14 guys too. The good news is at least that gives time for Pickett to get there. Can't go Brissett because he's going to be benched for Watson.
Yeah, I think it has to be Pickett. I can't wait for D-Hooks to take Pickett with Lamar, Baker, and Davis. Why did you grab 3 QBs when you have Lamar?
Oh, this was
you'd rather have 3 QBs than grab a 3rd tight end to go with Isaiah Likely? There, you go, Logan Thomas. All right, it's got to be Pickett.
That's our only option. I mean, Geno Smith is in consideration, I guess, but I would rather go Pickett, wouldn't you? Especially
Yeah,
we want week 14.
Week 14 is the thing, right? And like we also the Mariota Pickett combo of starting the year off with some points. Pickett can actually.
I don't see a scenario where Geno Smith like wins us $1 million, $2 million.
Oh my gosh, 150 gentlemen and ladies.
I'm sorry, buddy. I thought we were gonna absolutely wax.
That's
a good team outside of quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, take a look. Like, let's do a recap here. If you're going 5 running back with Christian, like I think we did it well. You've got
perfect
on the field upside, so many touches with TD upside. We both
Damian
love
Harris
Hines.
and Hines are like the antithesis. They're the opposite type of players. One of them probably hits this year. One of them probably busts. And then McKissick's great. I really like the Commander stack. I think the Commander stack is a really unique build, and we had all the pieces. All the pieces.
I mean, so here's the shining the okay with all this is if week 17 comes, Evans, Godwin, Brady has a big week. Brady puts up like a 30 spot. Evans and Godwin get the big ones. Maybe Washington has that huge game. Like you just need like a 20, like a low 20s or something.
Dude,
from these
here's the scenario that wins it for us is Mariota throws 3 touchdowns to Kyle Pitts in week 17. That's the scenario that wins it. That's like that's what we're hanging our hat on with this team. I've had a couple teams go like this where you just get sniped. I had someone on Twitter when I was in a draft. He was right next to me. He's like, I was just trying to ruin all your stacks. I was like, oh, thanks.
Yeah. I'll also say, I don't know if it was this draft or what it was, but that was one of the fastest drafts and streams we have done. I'm not kidding. Like, we didn't start immediately. We usually finish these like a couple minutes after the hour. People just, this is when people ask, like, hey, is it softer during the week before the season? Like, this is what people need to point to.
Oh, it's definitely softer. And I wish I would have done more of my drafts this week than I did, but it's whatever.
Yeah, we can definitely, it is worth it. We are definitely going to take a look at some of
I mean, the only thing I'll say about this is I think you're going to I think you have like a way better chance than like your teams that can actually win the 2 million probably don't have as high of an advance rate as it. Like, let's go through these teams. That's what I really want to do.
Okay. So,
let's start with D Hooks.
All right, so D Hook went the Lamar and then 2 late QBs. Put Baker at 143.
3573 is like something I like to do in like the high stakes. I did a decent amount of those in the 3-man builds too. It's like uber conservative,
but not with Lamar.
I never would do it with Lamar,
right?
Ever. Also, go back to the running backs.
Yeah,
which is where a lot of the capital is invested. I mean, that's not a horrible group.
It's fine.
I don't mind it.
It's basically a 4 running back build with a very late Mike Davis, which is fine. The wide receivers are light.
You got Lazard at 70. That's bad. Like Pickens, but he's getting really expensive now. And not really much correlation here.
No Baltimore correlation besides likely. I don't know where this Baker Mayfield
Carolina came from. No Carolina. And who's the third quarterback? Mills?
Yeah.
So no correlation. Terrible.
Nothing there. All right. Moving on. Nick Denital. Oh my gosh, Nick. Patrick Mahomes. You could have gone Patrick and any of these 2, any of the other 3, and it would have been okay.
I mean, the fact that he took Lawrence is just infuriating. That's the most tilting pick of the draft.
When there's 5 picks of ADP value, you have to take it.
Oh, he's going to do well at quarterback.
All right. Good thing there. A lot of running backs, too.
A lot of running backs.
7 running backs after going Lenny and Zeke and Dobbins and Elijah.
Doesn't seem optimal to me. Now let's check in on the receivers here. Oh, Jefferson. I mean, I like Jefferson Hill. That start is like one of my favorites.
How do you like the finish of the next 2?
Not a big Julio guy, especially at this ADP. Parker, don't hate the pick, but 4 receivers drawn stone dead. That is a team that just literally lit it on fire. Cannot possibly win.
Enjoy week 11 and then every other week too. But it's good that you got Taysom with the final pick here.
That's not a bad pick. All right, so
compared to a wide receiver.
Nick, you're dust. Let's look at the Shasta team.
Shasta 2682. Okay, start.
I like
Herbert,
that.
Jameis, good combo. Stack with Eckler.
This is the best team I've seen so far. I really like it. You like the handcuff, and I don't mind the handcuff. I've done a lot of handcuffing in smaller drafts, and this one I did not do as much, but I kind of see what you're saying with the ping pong element.
Just for the craziness of having to beat 469 people.
Yep.
I like Damian Williams as a unique guy that reports are he's going to be getting some starting touches and has not been drafted all summer.
Yep. Like that too. Good group of receivers here too. Don't like Samuel at that rich, but he's starting to fall.
Stack with Palmer's nice.
Palmer, Eckler, Herbert's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Good receivers and Everett. That's a good team.
I don't mind this team. Nope.
That's the good team. So we have one team that's live and a good team in here.
All right, here's a regular. Seen this name a bunch. 3672 Stafford, Mack, and Trubisky. I don't love Trubisky here. I think you were fine with just Stafford and Mack, but
I wouldn't
probably
either.
We'll see if you got some pit stacks. That's my guess.
Yeah.
Kyron
Williams, I've seen some people start to take. I don't love it after the reports of Akers and Henderson being ready, but it's fine. Good group of running backs,
like a modified zero RB almost.
I like Pollard and Miles Sanders are two of my favorite. Chicago, I get Herbert. I like Herbert. I don't have any Montgomery really, but the offensive line is
both.
Yeah, big concern for me is the offensive line. I think Thorne had it as the stone worst offensive line, so that's concerning.
Yeah. All right, wide receivers. Strong start with Cooper. As we said, it was kind of a modified zero RB, so they went strong with these wide receivers early, which makes sense.
That's nice with Stafford. That's a good receiver group. And then Trubisky with Deontay, I don't hate it. Don't hate it.
That's why he threw in Trubisky.
Probably a Higbee. Probably Higbee here, I would guess.
Yeah. And you got they're definitely going with that week 17 with Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Mike Williams, Andrew Sigbee.
Great team.
Good team.
Not great. Yeah, good team. Solid team. Getting Chase at the 6th spot.
Culmination. Burrow, Rodgers.
Another good team. See, I think Rodgers, Aaron Jones is the best stack by far if you're going to Green Bay.
Yeah. This is an uncomfortable one where you're not sure where your RB2 points are coming from, but you did it the right way, grabbing 6 of them and getting some guys who are catching passes.
Love that group, other than Robinson. But Mostert is one of my highest owned running backs, if not my highest in the 12 mans. It's getting him in the 200s, late 190s. I think obviously there's a lot of risk. He's unlikely to do much, but recorded the fastest speed of any NFL player ahead of guys like Tyreek Hill, name other fast guys, Chase, Jefferson.
Kez Watkins claims he's the fastest.
Yeah. Well, last year, I believe he had the highest speed.
Mostert did, yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay, teams. I'm going to skip ahead. We're going to go look at the other crazy one, the piece.
Are we in any high stakes stuff together?
Like in the actual same draft?
Yeah. What else is completed for you? Like, did you do any of the Bulldogs or the Great Danes or?
I've honestly been doing a bit more of the high stakes on DK. So I did the 2,500 Mastiff, but that was really it. Yeah.
Okay.
And then did a bunch of the pre stuff. So like Superflex, maxed out that one, did a bunch of rookies and sophomores. This rookies and sophomores is fun to look at the exposure because that's where we saw a lot of these guys really climbing. Like Pickens was getting drafted so late here. It was fun. All right. This was crazy.
Sorry, it was a disappointing team, man.
Bobby, you might be right. After today, I don't know. We probably should have drafted 4 QBs, and maybe
we're washed up. We have no clue what we're doing. We're washed now. Past success is not indicative of future success, I guess.
If we shall see. It'll be a fun one to watch throughout the year. Peter, thank you for joining me. What do you have coming up? Where can people find you? Should people keep an eye out?
Yeah. super excited about ETR. Going to be doing stuff with them this year. Really proud of what we've built at Unabated too. If you're looking to get more into sports betting, I think that's a really cool place to check us out. Still doing the crypto NFT stuff at Lucky Trader. Kudos to all the success that you guys have had as well, Justin. So yeah, just basically a lot of the same stuff. Excited to grind DFS this year. I think probably the biggest benefit to really being all in on best ball this summer is I feel as prepared as ever for the NFL season. So yeah, all of those things, and just excited for the football season to start.
I think it's a great point. People who've been watching this, I'd say, yeah, week one, such a great time to go contrarian, just in general from a strategic aspect, because we're all using the same information and really we know the least. And the people who have been doing best ball, you actually have a better feel for the overall sentiment of kind of the public on players. So the ones who probably have been following a little more, or the ones that begin steamed, use that to your knowledge, use that to your advantage in the first, I'd say, a week or two of DFS. Other than that, I mean, honestly, everyone, this has been amazing. I think we've done 22 streams, nearly 100,000 or so views, ridiculous amount of EV from people in chat that you've all gained at my expense. So props to you all, but enjoyed everyone. So huge thanks to everyone, all the wonderful guests, the ETR team, letting me do this takeover kind of all summer. If you enjoyed these, tag ETR on a tweet, give me a shout on Twitter, leave a comment on the stream after the fact, something. I've had a blast doing all these. Hopefully, I'll see you all again soon, and keep an eye out. Obviously, there's going to be a ton of stuff coming from ETR with the season starting on Thursday. It's been a blast. Cheers, Pete. Any last words?
No, that was well said. Cheers, and kudos to you. I've always been a huge fan of everything that you've done, Justin. It's been, I'm glad to not be battling you as much as I have in the past. That's you're a worthy. And you've been kicking my ass for a long time. So happy that you did this, and just stoked for best ball to continue to grow, and excited for everything we have at ETR. And also, I mean, we should definitely run some of these back. I think probably the most fun for me underdog format is actually the NFL playoffs. I think those best balls are like the coolest product possible. It's like a futures fantasy combination, which is just super fun. So we'll have to run back those shows for the playoffs.
100 agree. Love it. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Everyone else, cheers, chat. Enjoy the rest of your week, and good luck in DFS.